Brictopian. Hello, it's Brictopian, and this is going to be a discussion on the new LEGO Icon set, Lion Knight's Castle. The set number is 10305. It has 4,514 pieces and it is an 18 plus set. If you buy the set from lego.com, it will earn you 2,760 VIP points. I really do like the look of this set. It's got a lot going for it, and for the 90th anniversary I think that it is very special, and it does capture lots and lots of different elements of the original castles from the classic theme. I like that they didn't just go for a remake of one castle and they combined the best bits of each of them. This is a complete contrast to what they've done with the 90th anniversary Galaxy Explorer set, because that set literally just is a remake of the original Galaxy Explorer. You could say, well, why didn't they with the Galaxy Explorer combine loads of different spaceships from the original classic space? But I actually think that in the space terms of the space sets, I think the Galaxy Explorer was so good and stood out so much amongst the other space sets that a remake of that makes more sense than a remake of a castle set to be a complete copy of an original castle set. I know that is partly my opinion, but I just feel like that the fact that they did both sets differently in what their main goals are, I think makes a lot of sense to me, and it just feels like a very wise choice. The castle itself is obviously really expensive. That's the main flaw of the set, is it is £344 in the UK, which is a lot of money. And you could say, well, do you get this or do you get the Create 3-in-1 medieval castles? Because you could literally buy almost 4 of those for the price of this one set. So is it worth getting 4 of those or 1 of this? Is this set really 4 times better than one of those sets? Well, in some ways it is, and in some ways it isn't. You get a lot more minifigures, which is an understatement to say you get a lot more actually, because in this set you get 22 minifigures. 22. That is the same amount, I think, as Ninjago City Gardens, which is pretty crazy. I mean, obviously this set is even more expensive than that set, but the piece count of this set is a bit lower. It's not a lot lower, because Ninjago City Gardens was 5,600 and something pieces, and this one's only 4,000, in the 4,000 range of 4,500. But I still think that the amount of minifigures here is pretty amazing that they've done this many, and that obviously is a big selling point, because obviously a lot of people love the classic minifigures. Which does bring up the question though, why haven't they done a 90th anniversary minifigure series? Because they've done another series of minifigures this year, which is the series 23, but why is it just a normal theme and not got classic figures in? I know it's got a minifigure called Knight of the Yellow Castle or something like that, and that references classic castle, but they could have done a whole minifigure wave of just classic figures, and I think that would have been really good. And if they'd done that, then they could have sold this castle set at a cheaper price and not had so many figures, and had it so you could get those extra figures you want from a minifigure series instead. But obviously, being Lego and being a business, they probably thought, well, we'll make people buy a massive set even if they just want the minifigures. So that also answers my own question of why they didn't do it. Same with the space astronaut in the classic space Galaxy Explorer remake. They could have done astronauts on their own in the minifigure series, but they were like, nope, we'll have 4 astronauts in these sets. I know that's the same as the original Galaxy Explorer had 4, being red and white, 2 of each, but they probably do know that even though they could have introduced a new colour of astronaut in that set, they probably think that well, the red and the white will probably still end up being the most popular, so we'll still just have them the same. And they know that people will still want multiple minifigures of classic space astronauts. Even people who want the same color will just go ahead and might buy like a few of the sets just to get like a whole army of red astronauts. I think that could happen with this castle set as well. Some people might buy 2 copies of the set and like make one humongous castle, and then they might get multiple copies of some of the knights. But the thing is, this set does have quite a lot of going for it, like I say, with the minifigures anyway. So there is less need to buy multiples of the set. I don't know how easy it'll be to get the figures on bricks and pieces, but I'm guessing because it's such a big expensive set, it's the 90th anniversary, LEGO will do a lot to stop people getting the figures of bricks and pieces, because I imagine a lot of people will try and get it just for the figures, because they'll be like, well, I can't buy the set, but I really want the figures, so I'm just going to get those. Which is the case with quite a few sets, but I think LEGO will find a way to stop that, which is a bit of a shame, but also, you know, it's a business, that's what they're going to do. Well, the set itself is a very good set, like I say. I really like the way that it folds, like you can do with the Creative Freedom 1 Medieval Castle, but except obviously on a lot bigger and more impressive scale. And the colour scheme is actually quite good. I was worried that it would be entirely grey, which for some people might be good, but for me not so much, because I'm not really a huge fan of grey sets. That's why I don't really buy too many Star Wars sets, which is obviously a controversial thing because Star Wars is such a popular theme. But for me, I prefer sets that have more colour. And Castle, although it's a great theme and I still admire it, there's a lot of the sets I wouldn't buy because of the colour scheme. Although on the contrast of that, I'm not a huge fan necessarily of the yellow, of the original yellow castle, even though that is obviously an iconic set and it's a good set, but it reminds me a lot of the Sandcastle being yellow. That's the original set. So I personally prefer the fact that they didn't make a remake of the original yellow castle. I prefer the fact that this is not necessarily based on that, although it does have a miniature build of a yellow castle inside this set as a little Easter egg to reference that original set. But a lot of the way this set is built is using the strengths of the original sets. A few of the different sets have been inspiring this one, and the way they did the drawbridge, I know the designers said, was particularly inspired by a lot of the best and most popular castle sets, and I think the drawbridge will be one of the best bits of the set probably to build. Even in the Creative Freedom 1 Medieval Castle, I thought that the drawbridge was probably the most enjoyable part of the set for me, along with the minifigures, of course. But yeah, I just think that this set has it's got a lot of fun to it. I feel like it's very good as a play set, even though it's an 18+ set, which is very unusual to think of when you think of how 18+ sets didn't exist such a short time ago, and how this set would be like a massive set from people's childhoods who grew up with these original classic themes. Not me not being one of those people, because I'm too young for that, but it seems very, it's very like a double-edged sword, because it feels like it's sort of changing what these sets represent and making it feel less like a childhood bit of fun that you would get from the originals, but it also like obviously hooks adults who have nostalgia for the original sets, and obviously that's a big selling point for LEGO, and it's their big reason that they're doing 18+ sets is not just because they think they want adults to do LEGO. It's also like a big thing of nostalgia. But I understand why they would do that, and obviously this set does feel very old but very new at the same time. So I think that they've like hit the nail on the head with getting that perfect balance of vintage and modern. And the highlights of the set, to me looking at it, apart from like so the function in the drawbridge, would be looking at I love the little housing section pieces of the build where it's got the white buildings that have the black stripes on them and the sort of thatched window elements, and it's got the roof, the nice roof, using them tooth style elements in a nougaty colour. I just think that they look really good in it, and I like how much they stand out on the grey of the rest of it. And I think this is a good match up with the medieval castle 3-in-1, because that obviously had yellow buildings in this sort of way that had brown stripes on. And I actually probably in some ways prefer the white with the black even than that colour. I don't know why, I just do. I think it does, and I think that, like I say, the roofs on them sections just look really, really good, and I think that that was a great part usage. One of the things I'm not so keen on this set is probably these stairs that go up to the drawbridge, the entrance of the castle, because they're not really stairs in my eyes. They look more like just, well, they're slope pieces, and to me it doesn't really look like stairs, it just looks like slopes that go up. And I feel like that for a horse or a knight to get up there would be very steep, and if this was reality, I feel like a horse would have to spend a lot of time in the gym or be on some serious running medication to be able to get up that slope. It just seems like, I don't know, it's good obviously use your imagination, but I just feel like that I would have preferred it if they'd actually had some more shapes on the slopes that made it feel more like actual steps than just a slope shape that goes up. But that being said, the inclusion of having the main castle off the ground and having rocks under it does feel a lot more authentic, and I think it just improves the look of it. And it obviously allows you to have space underneath that section to have a little hidden place where you can put minifigures. And the castle obviously has flags on top of it, and all four flags it has. No, actually it has 5 flags. It has 3 lots of brick built ones, and then it has 2 ones that look like they're made out of vinyl. I'm not sure if they're vinyl or fabric. They look like it could be vinyl, but they might be fabric. But yeah, they look good. I do like those, although I feel like it might look better if both of the fabric style flags matched rather than being different, in my opinion. I like the shape of the overall build. I like that when you fold it around, rather than having it laid out, that it becomes more of a circular shape than just a square, because it makes a nice change. Obviously, people who have it up against the wall might not necessarily find that as convenient, but I just think it adds a bit of variety and makes it more interesting to me. I love the greenery on it and the trees and things. They use the little tiny tree pieces that are also been seen in the new Lego 90th Anniversary Forestman Hideout promo set, and I think it's good that they matched it with that, because obviously a lot of people want to get that promo to put alongside this. And that same goes for the fact that for the trees in this set, they use black tubular pieces for the trunks and stems of the trees, and that matches the same colour and shape pieces that they used in that promo as well. And I don't know, I like how the different levels are. Although there are some other things I would say that I would have changed. I'm not a huge fan of how small the little slits are for the windows on the actual tower sections of the castle. I feel like I would have preferred it if they were a bit wider and bigger. I know it's a bit different and they don't really use that technique too often, so it's nice to see something different, but I still would have probably preferred slightly bigger window sections there. Although they are mostly decorational rather than actual functioning windows. It does have windows though, like I say, on the little crisscross house buildings, and then there's a arched window above the main front door, which looks really good too. There's also a water wheel on the set, and the water wheel, it just looks really well done. I mean, I really like the water wheel on the medieval 3-in-1, but I think this one just looks a bit more solid and a bit more filled in, and the shaping is more accurate. I just really like it a lot, and when you turn it, it actually makes something inside the set move around, which is quite cool as well. I can't remember exactly what it was that turns around now, but I know that the designers said that when you turn the water wheel, it has a function to it, that it turns something inside the set. So I think it was like might have been like I don't know, I can't remember what it was now, some sort of furnace or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, I'm glad that they've included a little bit of functionality in this set, alongside the drawbridge having that, and the landscaping design is brilliant, and I like how when you fold it out as well, that one of the parts that is bent when it's in its closed form can form my bridge. I think that's really good. It obviously looks very two-dimensional bridge, but the idea and the gesture of it is good to have. The use of masonry bricks on the set also adds a lot of sort of finishing to it, and I think really improves the look of it. It makes it look a lot less plain. I think if there was no masonry bricks, it would look far less interesting of a set. So having those added is good, and they're not over the whole set though. There's just like patches of them, which really adds to that sort of handcrafted medieval feel. Some people don't like the fact that one of the minifigures in the set is a queen instead of a king, but I actually think that was quite a good choice, to be honest, because in a lot of countries now there are queens instead of kings. I know obviously it's set in medieval times, but I feel like having that little nod to the modern day is quite nice, because obviously I live in the UK, and in the UK we have a queen at the moment and not a king anyway. And I just feel like it's a nice change, because castles quite often have kings. They say the phrase king of the castle, but I don't think it needs to always be a king. And although some people might not be happy about it, I don't feel like it's a good enough reason to not want the set, or to really say the set is bad or anything, that some people might see it that way. There's just so much going on, and they also included a cow in the set alongside a horse as well. Well, two horses. There's two different colour horses, and there's a cow. And then there's even a baby cow as well. And some people probably would have preferred if they'd included the goats instead of a cow, because obviously goats were a big thing to a lot of people in classic Lego, and lots of people wanted them to bring back goat pieces. But I think a cow is one of the next best things they could have done, and they still look really good to me. And having two different color horses I think was also good, because it's a lot more interesting. And the two horses actually are rode by different factions, because one of them, the brown horse, is rode by the lion faction, and the other horse that's in a tan colour is rode by the black falcon faction. And including both factions, even though the castle belongs to the Lion Knights, is very good, and it's ideal for people who haven't necessarily got any other castle sets, because they can still get both factions in one set. But I think personally this set will shine at its best when it's going to be displayed next to something like the medieval blacksmith ideas set. I think that will look really good next to this, and it will improve both of them. They will complement each other well, and it will go better with that set than the Creative 3-in-1 castle did, because that set is too small compared to the blacksmith than this new one is. This new one is a lot bigger than the blacksmith, whereas the other castle was actually smaller, so the scale just seemed way off if you wanted them next to each other. So that sort of is another reason I can understand why they made this set a big set, and obviously that justifies getting a bit of the price. But the price itself is still a lot, and it's going to put a lot of people off, so that's the reason why I think the Galaxy Explorer might end up doing better. I'm not saying one set is better than the other. I'm probably more inclined to like the Galaxy Explorer, because I still prefer space stuff over medieval stuff, but they're both really, really good sets. And the only other issue is obviously this set, because it takes up a lot of room. You need a lot of shelf space, and it's quite tall. It's taller than you'd think as well. Yeah, because I think it's something like, how tall is it again? It's quite tall. I have to check on that. I think it was 55, was it? Something like that. 55 centimeters tall. Or, is it? Let me check. It is... Oh, sorry, it's only 38 centimeters high, but that's still quite high if you don't have a lot of space. So yeah, That's what I think on that anyway. And the last thing I want to say in regards to this set, apart from obviously that some people might go, well, they could have included a dragon, which might have been nice, but then that would have put this set up probably another 20 quid or something, which would put it even more crazy price. So in that sense, I think going back to dragon probably is a good idea. They could have done a dragon as a promo set though, if they wanted to, or something. But it's not too difficult to get hold of probably some built dragons you could use from other sets if you really wanted to add one. But yeah, the only other thing I wanted to say really is that how do you compare the set with other sets of the same price? Because this set is the same price as the new Loot Coaster set. They're exactly the same price. And yeah, they're hard to compare because they're so different. And obviously the part usage is very different, because I feel like this castle set does use a lot of more standard pieces though than that one. But then this set, to me, feels more worth the money because of the awesome minifigures, and also it feels more of a solid build, whereas the Loot Coaster, although it's got a really tall part to it, it is quite a set with a lot of open space, because obviously there's a lot of holes in it between like the coaster track and things. And to me, this set is definitely better personally, and I don't know, it's got a lot going for it, and I'm sure a lot of people will get it, and it will probably go down in history of Lego as one of Lego's best ever sets, I think. Not only because of how great the set is, but just because of the fact it's a 90th anniversary set, means that in itself it will always be one that will be a big massive set that people are going to have as a callback to Lego sets from the past in the future. And obviously it'll be interesting to see what they do for the 100th anniversary of Lego in 10 years time. Will they be able to beat this in terms of what they do for that? I don't know. Will they go out even more full out on that? Because technically 100 years celebration would be more of a big deal than a 90 year, wouldn't it? But if they've gone to the lengths of creating a £344 castle for this year, how are they going to surpass that in 10 years? Are they going to do one that's going to be 600 quid? Or are they going to just pick pirates next time or something and do a £400 pirate set? I don't know. The future will tell us, I guess. But anyway, they're just my thoughts on this set. There's not really a lot else I can say apart from, the obvious that the box art is like the original castle box art, and I think that's really good, and I'm really pleased they've done that, because I feel like it's nice that not every single 18 plus set is going to be in just the black box. I feel like if there was going to be exception to that rule, this is where it should be the exception. And yeah, it looks great from different angles. It's got a great interior. It's got different levels. There's even ladders inside the interior, so you can actually pretend the minifigure's climbing up rather than just having no stairs whatsoever. The access to minifigures with your hands looks really good, which is great for even adult hands to fit in. And I feel like this is a good set that a lot of parents might build with their kids because of the different elements of the castle, and you can actually take the castle apart and have it in two pieces if you want, which is also good. But yeah, looking at the lifestyle photos, well, yeah, it just shows you how big it is next to humans, and it really puts in perspective how massive this set is. It's almost like Hogwarts Castle big at this point. Although I probably prefer this set to Hogwarts Castle, if I'm honest, because I prefer minifigure sets to micro scale, and I just prefer this castle design anyway. But yeah, that's it. That's all I need to say. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.